All right, hey everyone, Isaac here. Listen, before we get into activity scoring on LinkedIn, I want to kind of show you where we're going. So this hangout was fantastic. I'm recording this post-production. This right here is where we are going. And thanks to Susan Tatum and everyone participating, we worked out some amazing ways to do activity scoring, and it's going to result in this formula right here, where you can just plug in the numbers for your target audience, view your tier 1 invites, your tier 2 invites, and look at your total opportunity runway, which is so important if you're thinking about doing any kind of project for an existing client, or you're thinking about onboarding a new one and looking at their target audience and what the opportunity looks like. So this is really a super important video. Watch it all the way through and just know that this is where we're going. So let's do this really quick intro. I'll intro Susan and the topic here. So first of all, Susan, if you have never met her, she's a super smart gal. We actually had Susan, I mean, Susan's here frequently, but she shared, was about a year ago, Susan, and you actually mentioned that last time you mentioned activity scoring, but not as like one of the main points. But I remember thinking to myself, like, this is a smart thing to do. We should probably do it, but more as like an add-on for onboarding. And now recently I'm thinking this is a non-negotiable need to learn how to do it kind of skill. Did you want to chime in before I keep going?
Oh, go.
Okay. So what's changed between now and a year ago is obviously the weekly invite cap. And so it doesn't matter if you get a firm quantity of invites or if you get a credit refunded. It doesn't matter if you've got a limited resource. And since the invites are the bottleneck, it does not make sense to invite someone to connect if they're never on the platform, if that's your bottleneck. You have got to do activity scoring so that you make the most out of your limited resource. Is a non-negotiable in my mind. I don't want to bring on a company where their audience isn't active on the platform anymore, because we can't, you have to set the expectations like way lower. So I'm very excited to hear Susan's insights and let her share. Susan, if you want to, you can do your thing. And then if we could open it up for Q&A at the end,
Sure.
that would be fantastic. And let me make you co-host. Did you want to share your screen at all, Susan?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So, you're calling it activity scoring, and that's really hitting, I think, on one of the weaknesses of what this is that I have, because the way that we've been using it is to determine the accessibility, or try to determine the accessibility overall for the target audience. Because, I mean, a lot of you know that we do really hyper-focused outreach. And so we need to know before we get involved with a client, if, what the size of the market is potential market is going to be, and approximately how long is it going to take us to burn through however many target markets there are. So full disclosure, this thing was put together about 5 years ago, and it hasn't been updated much. And there's a lot of weaknesses in it. And I'm looking forward to you guys tearing it apart and putting your own thoughts and experiences in it. And then I think we'll come out with something that can be really useful.
Susan, you were doing something 5 years ago. That's like so early. That's such an early adopter. High five.
Well, thank you. It was more defensive because we got stuck with too many people that were like, oh man, this isn't going to work at all.
Yeah.
So we just did that going into it.
All right, and let me just give Susan a plug here. Now, I know we have no sales or self-promo allowed, but Susan owns the Conversion Company. And if you're watching this at any point in the future, you could go check it out.
Thank you, Isaac. All right, let me share. All right, so we divided it into 3 areas that we're looking at: the profile, the network, and the activity. Okay. And keep in mind, that this was a while ago. And also I was trying to keep it as simple as possible, because you got to go look at the profiles to get to this. Mm-hmm. So the profile and the network, I put it with each had a possibility of 10 points. And one of the things you can see that pops out immediately is at that time, networks, you could see 500 plus, and that was it. So you max out on this system at 500 networks. Well, now we know how to see the size of the network, and there's a big difference between 500 and 2,500. Yep. So, this is all stuff that needs to be updated. But again, what we're just trying to determine was, is this person really using LinkedIn? And at that time, I was looking at the activity as kind of a bonus, that if they're active on LinkedIn, I can get on their radar faster. But it doesn't mean that they're not really using the platform. Well, now fast forward to today, I think that this activity becomes hugely important, which I think is what you were talking about, Isaac.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I was actually waiting. I was giving a little bit of weight to the network size then, because I thought, even if you have a crappy profile and you're not active on LinkedIn, but you've got a large enough network, I can still get to you.
Yeah.
And then I just made this stuff up about how they would fall into categories. So, as recently as last month, we eliminated, I would say 60% of people that look like they would be ideal clients for a company that was targeting lab operation people in the biopharma industries.
Wow.
So that's my presentation.
Let's hash it out.
Yeah.
Want to start with profile?
Yeah. Okay,
so headshot about a job listed, job description, and then their headline, right? 3 points. You want to talk about the
There's
points?
Not a headline in there now. It just says header image. I would put headline in. I would put something about headline in.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I think everybody has a headline.
A headline that's not defaulted, a not default headline. It doesn't say position at company. Updated headline or something.
Sure, yeah.
I also like featured content, because I think the featured content, especially with creator mode, is really putting a focus on subject matter expertise.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's good too. Yeah.
I think there's going to be a point of diminishing returns here if your goal is to qualify an audience before engaging. These are all totally valid. I'm just kind of thinking like what's easy to slice and dice.
Here's another one: premium account.
Yeah,
is
that's
that
another
an indicator?
one. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I would say activity section. If you see activity happening there, if they've been quiet or no activity, that's probably a less likely to. But that's in the profile where I guess you see that there.
Yeah, that's a whole extra section.
Yeah, there's a link. You can add it to a profile. I think it's / recent - activity. I forget what the string was, but this is where you can see someone's activity if they haven't posted. But I would take out job listed, and maybe company connected would be a better, instead of a ghost company, that they're actually connected to a real company. Because if you're looking for somebody at a company, you're probably searching on industry. I don't know.
Job listed and connected or something like that. I agree. Is there a logo showing? Is there a company page?
I'm going to add to that, though, that I find a lot of people a lot of situations, particularly small business owners, where they put their company in and then they later added a page and they didn't do the thing of going back and reconnecting to it. So they actually have a company page. It's just not connected to their experience section. I've literally told 4 people about that in the last 2 weeks.
So that should be it, that they're properly connected to the entities or the enterprises, because that's usually a back-end search criteria too.
But that may be what Scott is saying, is that that's a mistake that's made and they just don't know it. They didn't know enough about.
So should they get points for doing it or lose points for not doing it?
Well, the point that I was looking at here was that they had just filled out the part about their, they were talking about what they had done previously, rather than it being blank or just a list. Well, I guess, though, that's the explanation for current jobs, isn't it?
Yeah, because I don't know if I really read job explanations for the current job. I look at what their role is, perhaps, like if I'm looking for a head of transportation, I'm going to just say, okay, they're with this company and that's their role, but I really don't read the description.
But if you're looking at, would your expectation of somebody who is taking LinkedIn seriously, would they have put those explanations in there?
I don't know. Most people are looking at LinkedIn as a resume, and now they've kind of figured out it's a networking platform. So they may not have changed that.
Well, so what do you guys think about then? What the order?
The points.
Yeah.
I think premium account is a big points. If you're paying to play, you're probably going to be more apt to use the platform.
Yeah, that would be tops for me. That would be
And
anyone,
I think how,
anyone who's paying.
Okay,
and I
so
think if they've got more sections filled in as well, having the about section, because sometimes the headshot, they may not realize about the fact that they can make it public. I find that a lot.
Yeah,
So making sure they've got an about section, I've actually got some content on there.
The other thing I don't see on here is recommendations, both given and received.
Oh, you know, that's
not the skill endorsements, but
Right.
actually written recommendations.
Right.
Skill endorsements is the only thing that skill endorsements really gives you is if they don't have, if they've got like less than 10, then they probably haven't been real active. But but beyond that, it's it's kind of pointless. But the recommendations means that they've actually intentionally connected with clients and vendors and coworkers.
Let's
I
say
would
not
totally agree.
in 12 months. I mean, in the past 12 months, because some people have them like from 2004.
Yeah, I have them from 2004. So shut up.
It's fine to have old, no. It's fine to have old ones, but I'm saying like something in the past 12 months. What have you done lately?
Yeah.
Well, one other section about the profile to determine, I think, how seriously they're taking. Have they used any of the sections in the accomplishment category? Because LinkedIn doesn't encourage that. That takes extra effort to find and add anything in that section, which I hated when they truncated it, because to me that's all the best stuff. People's publication, if they've used any of that, that tells me they've gone a little more above and beyond than just filling out a resume.
Mm-hmm. So in my mind, the big ones are going to be premium content. Sorry, premium account. Ooh, somebody's got a fun sound going there. My biggest ones would be they have a premium account, recommendations. I feel like almost everyone has a headshot.
we were looking for good headshots.
Some people have awful. It's like they got an arm cut out, or they got
they're in their tuxedo getting married.
They're in their car, and you can see them with a seatbelt or something. Yeah, I mean, it's so easy today with a smartphone to just have somebody, take a picture of you. Yeah, not a selfie.
So maybe if we talk about the things that would be really like I think what Isaac is doing with the premium account, they've got their recommendations.
How about this? How about an optimized calling card? Let's say the top of the fold. Okay, that section should be an optimized calling card so that they've filled in all that they can in that top section, because those all have weight. So I would say have that first, and then if it's a premium account, because they could have a premium account in a dormant profile because they didn't even realize they were paying for it. So I would say have an optimized top of the fold calling card, and then have a premium account, and then have the recommendations, and then the about section.
I've got another one for you, Susan. Is just recently began a new job or a new role, because that means if
trigger.
That may be an issue where they can't make a sales decision yet, but if they're only there, that their profile says that they started 1 or 2 months ago, they were on LinkedIn and updated it.
I have an old scorecard that I used to do assessments on social media presence for each platform, and let me just see if I can find that file to see if there's anything to add. It's been about 2 years.
I'm wondering if this should start, instead of adding up to points, maybe it starts with, so X number of points is perfect, and then you deduct for not having things.
Yeah.
I mean, how granular are you going to get? Because the about section, that's, for my audience of attorneys, if they always have the default headline. Almost always 90% of the time. But the about section, 9 out of 10 times with attorneys, at least, you can see they've copy and pasted basically their bio from their website. And so I look, is that static? Is it the same as the website? I mean, I think especially in the about section, you get pretty granular, but maybe that's going too far.
Well, I think you would have to modify this for whatever is relevant to your audience.
Yeah, true.
for sure. And also keeping in mind that there's no perfect system. This is just looking for activity to associate a score to make a educated guess.
In the end here, we're based on this score, we're gonna put people on a Sales Navigator lead list, 100 per list for this week, next week, the following week, kind of thing. Isn't that really kind of what we're doing here? Creating a boxcar size of 100 or so.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, yeah, and I think that if you're an agency owner and you do LinkedIn, I think that what's going to happen here is we're going to look at these indicators and the scores associated with them. We're going to layer that onto what we can do within search, and then try to only scoop up and save what looks to be like an active audience without having to do a manual review on everyone. I think that's what most people end up doing.
There's no way to be able to automate having a headshot or the about section being populated and stuff.
You could.
Well,
You could.
Going to have to
You could
look at each
scrape
one
it.
of these profiles for 3 minutes and make a decision.
It doesn't
can
take 3
scrape-
minutes, but
What
you
if
do
you
have to look
scrape
at the
it?
profile.
What if you scrape it? I mean, I know scraping is against the rules, but what if you have your list
But
and
still,
then
a
you scrape
decision
it?
has to be made. Someone has to evaluate the sections
Mm.
and make a decision. It's not a machine that does it. You can scrape it you can look at it online and decide, or you can look at it in a spreadsheet and decide. It's the deciding part that's done by a human. And if they pass the test, they go on a lead list and get processed for the next week. I don't think you do this in real time. You create a list, right? You batch it up. Someone's going to do the list creation and someone else is going to work with the list. Is that how it goes, Susan?
Well, keep in mind that we don't do 100 a week. We're looking at every single profile anyway. So this is an additional work for us. This is just another way to look at it. We don't automate that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, even if you're a human sending 20 a day is still only 30 minutes work. You don't need a machine to send 20 a day. But we're creating a scrubbed, beautiful list first, where they match our score of 27 or more, or whatever the deal is, and then from there we go engage them. That's
what we do. That's what we do. Yeah. Well, the way that we have been using it is more. We take what we do, Mike, is take a quick look at whatever the first 100 that Sales Navigator shows up in a list, and see how many we eliminate, and then from there we're determining how many there really are, and then we'll take 100 good ones and look at those and see what the accessibility rate is, and then apply that across the rest of them. And I ran it past some research people that said that was probably the best that we could do on that one. But now we're talking with Isaac's point about it becoming much more critical in determining who you're actually going to reach out to. So I can't help you guys because our numbers just aren't that high.
Yeah, I think that so to kind of unpack what Susan said there, to try and measure the entire target audience instead of just you can do it ad hoc, but you can go through the first couple pages, record your results. Maybe you're saving the good candidates to a list and then the bad to another. Look at the percentage and assume that there's going to be a similar correlation all the way through.
Well, we know that it degrades as you go through the list, but if it's say if it's a growing market or something, then people are going to be coming in, and so it kind of works out to itself.
Yeah.
We do the best possible search we can. Put 25, add them to a lead list, page 2, 25, add them to a lead list, page 3, and so on. 200-300 to start with. Whittle it down to 150 or so by scrubbing them off of the list if they're not qualified like this. So we might literally go and say no headshot, no good, scrub them, remove from list. And then the ones that remain are the ones that pass. And then they go into either a manual system or an automated system for engagement. They've been pre-approved.
Right.
It's kind of what you're doing, I think, Susan.
That's totally what we're doing. Yeah, absolutely.
There's not really an easy way to, I mean, maybe there is, but to like grab 1,000 people and automatically associate a number with each of these things. If you wanted to do that, you would probably have to scrape it, sort by the like columns and rows, and then associate a number where the values are. But it can make sense to just make this part of your mental filter when you're going through.
You know
as
what I
well.
did on that, Isaac, on my report card that I used to use for evaluating social media, I did a target score. So it's kind of like you have points, but I did a target score. So my target would have been 100. Nobody got 100. A good profile got about 75. You know, most got like 40. So it showed where the deficit was in terms of what they needed to do. But I put a target score, which I guess is the same thing as the points they could earn. But then where they fell in that target range, so you could say, okay, if a prospect is 60 or above, then that's a good, you know, viable prospect. If they're, you know, 40 or whatever, it could be certain areas. So I don't know.
So, Mike, I think one other way, I mean, one way that can automate part of it is if you just assume that anybody that's been active in the last 90 days or whatever it is that LinkedIn put 30 days, whatever's on the search that comes up on that tab. If you assume that all of them, if they've been active, they're worth a connection request once they passed all of your other criteria.
That activity is just based on posting. That's not based on logins and stuff. So, you know, CEOs don't generally post a lot. We're mostly going for CEOs and presidents, and they don't tend to post a lot. I know what you're talking about. At the top, the most active, who's changed jobs in so many days, you have things in common with.
Yeah, but whoever shows up there, you could just give them a pass automatic. I mean,
That's true. That's true. Yeah. That's a good point. Yep.
What about active status? I think that you might put that in there. If someone has active status enabled for public.
That's a little bit granular. I'm not sure that means.
Well, it means that they're on. It means they're logged in for sure. It means
the little green dot.
Yeah.
Well, and if the default, I believe, for that is set to connections. So if it's someone who's not a connection and they've gone to the trouble to set it to anyone can see their active status, I think that's definitely a huge indicator of their level of activity and their interest in being active on LinkedIn.
Yeah, especially if it's mobile active status because they've used it on their phone.
So what about contact info? If they've filled out their contact info, like they have a phone number there or an email, business email. Is that any, I don't know.
You know, so, you know, here's a suggestion. You know, we can just get all these ideas here and I'll give you guys, I'll share this thing with you and then do whatever you want to do that's appropriate for your businesses. But, you know, I think that the value of the group is getting all these ideas out there, and everybody's is going to be different.
You're going to want to modify your network deal, like you said, right? And take it, 500 to 1,000, 1 to 2, 2 to 5, 5+, something like that.
Is that how you would see the difference come in?
I don't know. That just winged that off the top of my head.
Well, one thing too
talk about here.
It's going to be hard to see their connections, but you can see their follower count, which usually parallels.
That's what we mean. That's what we mean. That's what Susan meant, I believe.
Okay, but now in creator mode, one of the things they said, and I think Richard Vanderblom just said this, is that the default is to follow, which doesn't necessarily mean your connections. So I don't know.
Follower, you just got to use the follower number. You just have to go by that. You can't put too much thinking behind it. It's the only number we got that's better than the 500+.
Yeah, I'd be happy with the follower number.
I was gonna say, if they're building followers and not just connections, they've got to be doing a lot of activity. So that in and of itself proves that they're active on LinkedIn, is if they bothered to even turn creator mode on, or it appears to be that they've got a lot of followers, and we know that odds are probably most of those are not necessarily connections. I mean, what we're trying to get to is this person going to be on LinkedIn, and are they going to see my invitation to connect and actually make a decision on what to do with it? And so if they've gone to that level of turning creator on, especially since you can only get to it in the mobile app, I mean, to me, that in and of itself is, they're on LinkedIn.
Well, or they're a business celebrity or a celebrity of some kind.
So they're active.
I mean, they don't have to be active. You know, Richard Branson wouldn't have to be active to have 1 million followers.
But
Right.
there's
Well,
not
I guess
very many
if you're
Richard
targeting
Bransons
Branson
out
kind
there.
of people, but most of us are not targeting those sorts of people.
But they may be slightly famous within their industry is the point. I mean,
Well, and I think that goes back to Susan's conversation of, do we start with a pool of points and deduct? And so you could have a point score for celebrity or CEO level that
I'm
then you're
gonna just
deducting against.
I'm going to just point out that mathematically those end up with effectively the same result. I mean, I get the concept, but it's my point is it's a philosophical one, not a mathematical one.
Hey, you know what I would be willing to do, everyone? I would be willing to grab a bunch of data points from various industries of people that we know have converted off of LinkedIn into sales funnel and compare notes. I think that would be, see if what I should have thought about that even before today. Maybe we can do that next week and kind of recap, like follow up on that, like for follower count, see if there are any trends there, that kind of thing.
Well, you know what's odd about the industry thing is, unless you're doing the account-based marketing, most people don't necessarily have the correct industry. Like if I'm an HR person at a a high-tech company, what is my industry? Is it technology or is it HR? But I think when you're doing account-based marketing, a company's industry is usually pretty accurate. So I always wondered about, aside from the back-end sponsored posts using that data, I don't think a person's declaration of what industry they're in is always accurate of what industry they're in.
I agree entirely, Judy. We run into that as well. You work at Lockheed Martin in HR,
Marketing,
aerospace, defense, HR.
Right.
There's 3-4 options there.
Yeah.
How does that factor in with activity scoring? Did I miss something there?
I think we were looking more at network. So that kind of goes in like the viability of a network.
Well, here's my question. At what point from 500 up do you say, is there a difference? Where does the difference kick in?
I like 2,500. I think that's a decent size, I don't know. But I have had engaging conversations for on behalf of clients with people with smaller networks. They're just more particular. They're not into that growth. They just want to know everyone that they're connected to. So it gets a little personal, and it's also industry. Like I work with oil and gas, renewable energy. Who would have thought those guys would be so conversant, chatty?
They're like sitting in their truck bored. I'm looking for someone to talk to. All shut down.
Like the accounting industry, very difficult, because they're there, but they're not active. So I don't know. Industries do have a factor, but it comes down to the person.
So the point, I guess, is that you just have to think about where are the relative levels for your whatever market it is that you're dealing with, right?
Well, there's something to be said here about how much time do you want to spend on this. So is it worth the extra time to do this and that? We have a 10-point scoring system I do for sales teams, and we're trying to spend 1 minute on each profile. That's our goal. So 15 people, 15 minutes plus the coming and going time and stuff. If it took 3 minutes, then I would be rethinking things. If it took 5, I'd really be rethinking, and we could get into some really high things here when we're looking at some of these things, accomplishments and when they began. We're in a lot of things.
Here's the other thing. The view in Navigator is different than the view on the regular LinkedIn. So do you take the time to have to open that profile in the regular LinkedIn? Because you don't see like the featured content and all some of these other things in Navigator. I don't even recall if you see the background header.
We only evaluate in LinkedIn itself. Because of that exact reason.
Yeah.
That reason there. We want to see the image behind their background image. I want to see what they put up there.
Right. You don't see that in Navigator. Yeah.
Can we move on to activity?
Yeah, I was just
layering it on to what you can do within search as well.
If the point of this, what we're really looking for is a way to determine which people should be sent a connection request, then this activity section could be the most important.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely one of the most important things. So in my mind, chime in because I'm probably over talking. In my mind, they pay for LinkedIn. They've done an action posting. or they've updated their profile, or their active status says they're on. Those, in my mind, are the big four activity. Like they're for sure on the platform. I'm not going to waste an invite if I send an invite to people that match that.
That's true.
I think if they're acting or liking, commenting, if they're being active and not posting their own content, that still is, to me, is one of the biggest indicators, because a lot of people don't like to post, or they have trouble coming up with content to post, and they see the difficulties of getting into LinkedIn's algorithm. But if they're commenting, doing any kind of regular, at least weekly commenting on other people's connections, that tells me they're on LinkedIn actively. To me, that's probably the biggest indicator of, is it worth, are they going to see the invite? They're going into LinkedIn on a regular basis.
Here's another thought on activity. If you are doing ABM, account-based marketing, when you post on a company page, it'll tell you who did the post. I don't know that it necessarily shows in your recent activity because you posted on behalf of the company, but if you're starting with the company, you're going to look at their news feed. You can see who's been doing the posts, and if they're at the company, they're on LinkedIn.
If you're calling on sales reps, I mean, it's sales and marketing people that are doing that extra promotion out there, and those
Mike,
who you're trying to call on.
Mike, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, what if I want to sell marketing, like LinkedIn content marketing? Why don't I find the people that are doing it? I just say it like, yeah. Anybody think that is there a difference on scoring between if they like versus do the post itself?
I think so. I mean, it may be minor, but if you're just going through and liking stuff, that's a little bit different than if you're really paying attention to me.
Yeah.
But
like
really,
more effort.
If the question is the bottom line question, how often do they go to LinkedIn?
That's what I was going to say. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a post or just a comment or even a like. If you're trying to determine, is this person worth inviting? Are they going to see my invitation and react to it? All that matters is, are they going into the application and doing anything on a fairly regular basis actively? Even if that, to me, is the number one thing.
And what they do doesn't really matter. Just the fact that
they're doing it, that they're doing something on a regular basis. They're accessing the program at least weekly, in my opinion, since we know that most people aren't actively accessing LinkedIn. Yeah. Doing it at least weekly, they're going to see your invite to connect, and hopefully they're going to take some action without waiting 3 months to do it. To me, I mean, if that's really all we're trying to get to, is this person worth inviting to connect because they're active on LinkedIn? That's the proof of activity. And that can't be hidden. That's the other thing people don't realize. You can't hide your commenting and liking on your profile. That is always public if you do that. So that's the one thing you're definitely going to be able to see.
Can Susan, do you have Sales Navigator?
Yes.
Can we workshop how we might use these data points to pre-qualify?
So you want me to go to Sales Navigator?
An audience? Yeah, if that's okay.
Sure.
Like, let's do filter search leads, and then let's do the US, and then let's do a title. Let's do whatever you want. Maybe let's keep it simple, because I kind of want to like type in maybe like marketing or something.
Actually, if you really want to do a real
marketing isn't a title.
Pick something that is not someone that is going to be on LinkedIn on a regular basis. Pick something like the IT director, or I would say pick someone that would be less likely to be on LingkedIn.
Just for the sake of just can you pick something, Susan, just to get it rolling?
IT manager, IT director.
Okay. So 140,000. Let's take a look. See here.
You want to see the search?
Yeah. So if you're doing, if you're wanting to keep activity in mind, to pre-qualify a target audience. I don't know that there's a really good way to do that in normal LinkedIn search. Now, if you're actively prospecting, you could rely on search results, but I think that looking at what Susan just did here, assuming that your targeting is on point, I'm going to do posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. That's an easy win, right? And then second best is change jobs in the last 90 days, because they might not have the sway yet to do a decision, unless I want to play the long game and get in and earn their trust so that for when they can. But I think the posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days is huge.
If you had if this was a really big audience, which it is here, you could literally just go down and pick the folks that have an in button and just call it a day.
Well, I'm also going to just say I think the new position is super important, because it's a trigger event, and when I work with what I call the extended buyer's journey, and actually split up some of the awareness events, and getting in before they have an awareness of their need is actually super valuable.
That's a really good point, Scott. That's a really good point.
And I'll also recommend Craig Elias's book for anyone who wants to learn more about that. Shift selling, I think it is, and it's about trigger event selling.
Hey, could you just count how many in buttons there are here on this page? Anyone with an in button is an in, and I'm seeing a lot of in buttons. Yeah, over half. So if you wanted to do it quick and simple, you could just say pick the in buttons and go. If you had 40 so many people in a search here, I mean, you're gonna leave so much on the table already. Just take the in button people and go without doing all that extra work.
Can we see the total search results here, Susan? 140,000. So what if we kind of categorized what we can filter out by search? So like, if there are 6,000 posted in the last 30 days of 140,000, let's find the percentage there and use that as a hot and fast way to do an audience's activity scoring, kind of like in bulk, right? So 6,000 divided by 140,000. So 4% of this market here has posted in the last 30 days.
Oh, that tells us something.
It does. Can we do? Can you do like owner? So that's IT director. It's 4%.
Isaac, why LinkedIn pushes that shared experiences with you off to the the side, so you got to slide over to it. But I look at that a lot to find out if I'm in groups or alumni or something like that. So I use these shared experiences also as a filter. That seems to be a redheaded stepchild.
I think that's more related to your copy and the perceived value, not if they are active on the platform.
True, absolutely.
But it's totally something that you should absolutely use for sure.
Because I find that shared experiences include groups and other things that LinkedIn is obviously putting the cake mix here.
Guys, I just saw something very, very scary. In my Sales Navigator, I don't have the tabs anymore.
Neither do I.
It's in the upper left corner. It's in the upper left corner. In the results.
Spotlights. Hang on one second. Susan, I'm going to really quick take over sharing screens.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, it got moved to the upper left corner. I saw that on a couple profiles as well. We're probably all going to get it. They don't appear across the top. They're shoved to the upper left.
Yeah, mine got here.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Wow, that is.
I see it. Okay, I was having a heart attack.
Well, yeah.
That actually looks kind of nice. It's nicely done.
Cleaner.
So you've got.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
It's the same, but they're.
You don't see the numbers here.
People in your network. So would this be?
You got to click on it to see the numbers, Isaac. You don't get to see the numbers beforehand.
So, anyways, it's almost the same data.
Now it's giving the numbers, Mike.
Now it is. Great. It wasn't before. Wow.
Yeah, it gives you the numbers now.
So you've also got, this is new. I don't know that would be an activity score item, but anyways, Susan, you can jump back on and share your screen.
Well, I mean, I think we're We're probably
Good.
getting to, I put in the, we can go back to that spreadsheet if you want. Let's
Yeah,
see.
that would be great.
I put the link to that spreadsheet in the chat.
I did the math on the owner with 300,000, 390,000 with 9 million, and it's about 4%.
Is that what the other one was?
Yep. It was just a 0.1% different. So I don't know that there's going to be a huge, I don't know. I would like to get some data points on here, but I feel like that's an easy way to gauge the overall activity of the audience. And regardless, I'm going to begin by prospecting posted in the last 30 days and change jobs in the last 90 days.
So if you're looking for owners that change jobs, that's going to be kind of unusual.
Yeah,
Right?
we've got 62,000 of them.
Isn't that kind of funny?
Maybe they changed their title.
Yeah, or they could have
Mm.
added like a new active role, like maybe they're
Board member or something.
Yeah, no, it's probably some little clerical thing, but it's kind of funny to think of owners changing jobs. Presidents and CEOs do, owners.
And then, so from the spreadsheet, we have a quick filter on activity. That's one really quick and easy way that you can grab a percentage and maybe associate that with the score.
Oh, do you want me to stay here?
Yeah, so I think that of what's in the spreadsheet, you've got the posted in the last 30 days is one that's easy to grab percentage-wise. Before you're even like going through it, you can just say what percentage of this audience posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. Can we do, just for kicks and giggles, because I feel like this gets brought up all the time, like lawyers, can we do like owner of a law firm and see what the post rate is there compared to the 4% that we just saw?
Yeah,
maybe
I'm
they
looking.
call themselves managing partners or something. I don't know if they'd call themselves owners.
Law practice.
They
Yeah,
usually
just
call
do that.
themselves founder,
Founder, yeah.
founder, founding partner, owner, sometimes, but founder is more common.
I think founder might pick that up,
Yeah.
or founding, maybe not. Let's see.
140,000.
Susan, you have a typo there with attorney.
I certainly do.
I do that all the time. All right, 460. Let's see how many posted in the last 30 days. 24,000. So 24,000 divided by 460,000. That's actually 5%.
Ew.
That's shocking. Shocking.
I've been hitting them all up. They're getting savvier.
That's shocking.
All 24,000.
Well, so this is maybe just like one of those things where, your gut says lawyers don't post, but you look at the actual real-time information and you say, maybe I was wrong.
I wonder if posting is counting as commenting, or is it actual post? So what?
Actually, if we go back to the conversation we were having about, excuse me, about quantity, sort of measuring the activity, and I was going to jump in there, and I thought, well, that's probably me getting too granular again. But what I do, especially with my attorney audience, I do actually take the time to look at the quality. I mean, what are they posting? Are they just liking or sharing, or are they actually posting something that is meaningful? Because sometimes they'll just chime in, like a lot of people do, and say great point to somebody else's post. But and surprisingly, attorneys, you would think the one question that people say is, what do attorneys want more than anything? The natural answer is more clients. Not true at all, guys. Not necessarily true. And it's been sort of a surprise this last year, especially. They have, shocker, egos, big shocker.
Yep.
And sometimes all they want is to look better. They want to look like they're authority, they're the experts, and they have all the business and all the clients that they need. And that's been a real eye opener for me, just actually the last 2 years or so.
Wow.
So I look at the quality of,
That's a great insight, Vivica. Yeah.
Isaac, check your direct message.
Like this is what my takeaways are for what we will do, and I would love for everyone to chime in. If I'm in a sales call Maybe it's a new client, maybe it's a current client and they want to do a new initiative. I don't have the ability to go through every profile and qualify them before we start. I need to kind of slice and dice what we can learn from search to get some kind of number, right? So what I'm here, I'll share my screen. Unless Susan, if you
sorry,
want to.
I thought you were done. I mean,
that's
I thought
okay.
we were done with it. You want to go back to the sales nav?
Could you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking would be a really good first steps for everyone from what Susan just shared. And Susan, interrupt me if I'm wrong here. I'm thinking you're looking at the total results, the number. I think that there's a point there where it's too small. And then you're looking at how many posted in the last 30 days, how many changed jobs in the last 90 days. And then you can't really exclude those from the total, but I feel like once you cut those two pieces out, it's like a third of the total results. So like if this was 460, I think what I would do is we've got about 30,000 pretty active people that I would want to send an invite to. This, what's the opportunity to run away for 30,000 people? Long time. But then what about the rest? If it's a smaller number, if it's 100,000, so I would do, 24K plus 6.5K is like 30K. And I would do 460 minus 30 is 430,000 remaining. And I'd probably say, all right, if we remove those, probably the only first fourth of the list is going to be active outside of posted and changed jobs. I feel like that's a pretty good ballpark way to get your opportunity runway for active. What do you think, Susan?
Well, they're active, but they're not posting, or they have I guess they could have posted in less than 30 days. I mean, more than 30 days.
So I think you have like two tiers to your opportunity runway. You've got posted and changed jobs, 30,000. And then the remainder of 460 is 430 remain. And then of the 430, my gut tells me that only 25% of that remaining 430 would be worth sending an invite to.
You're probably right. And it may differ by industry, because there are some industries that they're just not that active, but they're there and they go there. And so I think to a certain extent, you have to take that into account.
Ooh, let me do this. And if anyone else wants to contribute here, that'd be cool. I'm going to grab some data points from our clients that have already converted and see if we can see any common trends with stuff that's not available in search here, like followers, like network size, do they have a headshot or not, that kind of thing, and maybe do a follow-up on that next week.
Cool.
All
right, done with the share?
Yes, thank you, Susan,
right.
so much.
Thank you guys. I think this is useful.
Any other questions for Susan? Questions, comments, thoughts?
One of the tools I use, I use it for just like 3 or 4 clients. It scrapes a really long list of stuff. A really long list. Like, are they a premium subscriber? How many followers?
Yeah. Open profile sometimes, right?
So open profile, yes. Yeah. Those things. So you can, and frankly, with it, you don't even need to do the campaign. You just got to pull the targets in, and it puts them off into a Google sheet where you can do your analysis, weed out the ones you don't want, grab the profile URL of the ones you do, and put it right back into the system. It's this beautiful little qualify and re-engage process. I'm not going to say the name of it here, but if anyone wants to know, just reach out to me here. I'm trying to keep your stuff clean here, Isaac.
You're cool. I appreciate it.
Clean. But it's really powerful to pull a list down, qualify it in a spreadsheet, a Google sheet, scrape out the ones you don't want, and the ones that don't have premium profiles, the ones that don't have 1,000 connection or followers or more, and then just literally shoot the profile URLs back in as your target list.
Yeah. So Mike? So in practice, totally, Mike. And adding to that, you could do sales nav, and you could grab like posted in the last 30 days or new job, and then you could use a tool that goes through and scrapes the data, and then you could use the output CSV or Google Sheet to sort by column either premium or open profile, sort it there, and then just work through those people first, because they're going to be the top of the top of the top. Yep. Yeah, smart.
The key there is that tool lets you literally copy and paste into a square profile URLs. You don't have to create a lead list in the end to load in.
Yep, for sure. Well, I just think it's really, we have to be data driven. Like the lawyer post thing really surprised me. I did not expect there to be a higher percentage of people that are attorneys posting than in tech. So you just learn how to do the research and then make data-driven decisions, and I think you'll be a winner in the long run.
I would guess that the lawyer category is higher because of the amount of industry news they have to share and speak to. There's constant changes in that category. And so they're always talking about some new case that has come out or some change in regulations or legislation. And so I would venture to say that's because there's a lot of volatility in communication in that field.
Yeah,
But that's true of IT too.
Yes, but they don't always have the they can't always speak publicly about it.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many regulatory sensitivities, but also keep in mind that in the lawyer industry, I mean, you have regulations that vary state to state. So that kind of adds another layer of sensitivity to the conversations too, depending on where they are.
So I'm going to do a quick formula here. So you got posting in the last 30 days plus new job in the last 90 days, because those are easy wins, right? And then you've got the total count, this minus this, right? So total count minus post in the last 30 days plus new job in the last 90 days. And then the total count times like 0.25%. How would you do that in one formula? So I'm not sure how that would kind of work out, because I haven't had enough coffee. But if you could just kind of plug that into a spreadsheet formula, I feel like that'd be a really easy way to say, all right, we have this many people that are probably going to be more active. Let's do them first. And then if you're talking to a potential client or doing a project with one, right, you could say, all right, we've got this many people. Once we work through them, depending on how big the audience size is, we might exhaust this, it might renew a little bit, but then we have this many to work with moving forward. I feel like that would be smart to be able to pre-qualify an initiative before taking it on, so that you don't.
Because we're saying, hey, our initial search gave us 460,000 potentials in that broad category, but then we've decided that 30,000 of them are high quality leads, and that only the remaining quarter of that pool, which is 107,000, is worth chasing at all.
Yeah. Oh, so it would probably be this plus. I don't know. Is there anyone who's a math whiz in here? I haven't been to school in so many years.
I mean, if you were doing it in Excel, it'd be sum.
Yep.
And the whole thing would go in parentheses, and then you would do times 0.25.
Total count times 0.25.
So total count in parentheses times 0.25.
Mm-hmm. No, because we have to first subtract this group, because we're
you have to first subtract it. Okay, then put this in inside the parentheses of total count. So you have total count minus the sum and then times 0.25.
Total count.
That's like so.
Minus the sum.
Yeah, and this, so if you put the parentheses
around and
this
then times 0.25
difference, then this will be calculated first and then times 0.25.
There you go.
There, is that right?
Yeah.
Holy smokes, Susan.
We got it.
What do you think? What do you think?
I like it.
So this then would say, so order of operation, right? Algebra 1-ish. Posted in the last 30 days plus new job in the last 90 days. First, we grab that total. And then we say, subtract that from the total count multiplied by the first quarter of the search results, assuming that once you get that far back, it's not really good. That might be your really fast way to evaluate how many active leads are in an audience before you take on a campaign.
Certainly does save a lot of time. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Should I put that in the chat?
Thank you, Isaac.
And if this doesn't work, it's Dimitri's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 second.
It's like second grade math.
Oh, thanks. Well, maybe where you are, we're in America. I don't know. Just kidding.
Well, I did
PEMDAS,
my first 3 grads. I did in Russia. This is actually even more complex. So anyway.
That's cool. Well, let's see if we can poke some holes in that formula and see if it works out. I feel like that's a really big step in the right direction as far as really quickly doing activity scoring and walking away with a number for an initiative. I think that's good. It would not be possible without Susan Tatum's help and Dimitri's math. Cool.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, should we wrap it up? All right. Tracy, could you hum the theme song for us? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Drum
Susan,
roll.
thank you so much. Susan, thank you for your time. I really
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Isaac.
All
Take
right.
care,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye.
Have a great day.
Fine.